in AI. But can you talk to us a little bit about how data, in your opinion, based on what you saw, was used during the election on both sides and which side may have won that battle?
I'm not even sure there was a battle last year to be won. I think it was over before it began. Um, and so the way I experience that data use is it's very outdated thoughts about what polling is, how to communicate with people, who you should try and speak to, without going into the details of how, and I'm sure people treat it differently, but you look at someone's likelihood to vote and you look at someone's likelihood to vote for you and you draw and you get a knife and you cut it. But if you're over this, we'll speak to you. And if you're under that, we won't. And maybe if we have a bit more time or money, we might staple it together and cut it somewhere else, but you're cutting it. But all that means is these are not hard and fast rules about how you speak to somebody. Within the area you cut off, there are tens and tens of millions of people who are open to your message if you bother to try. And some parties, without getting political, some parties do that better than others, and some parties apparently don't even try.
Right.
And that, I think, is it upsets me that they don't try, but that is where data and AI can really come in handy. Because if in this area you've cut off, data analysis can go, there is this section here, but if you message in this way, you're likely to achieve a result. That obviously is helpful, except you're not doing it with one segment of the population, you're doing it with every segment of the population.
Right. So rather than dismissing whole segments, you're actually getting into a little more complex shades of gray, if you would, with the data analysis.
And I think, yeah, and I think it's, I mean, we've been having this conversation for so long, it is baffling that people still haven't got the concept, let alone the application to fix it. But it goes back, I remember back in like 2008, I think it was Obama was talking about we aren't red states or blue states. It's just silly. The way people were treating data and polling last year is as silly as looking at Texas and going, oh, it's a red state. Well, yeah, but there are not tens, but actually there probably are tens of millions of Democrats in Texas.
Big state.
It's a big state. There's a lot of people there. The Republicans certainly weren't looking at New York and California and going, that's a blue state.
No, they were, I mean, you saw Trump showing up in those states.
And people were like, why is on earth he doing that? He's not going to win New York. And it's like, hey.
Why win a couple of districts, right?
If you win a couple of districts, you win the House. And that's at the state level, and that's massive, but it applies everywhere. People look at rural and urban and go, well, urban, you're Democrat, and rural, you're Republican. There's still 30% of people in rural areas who are Democrat.
It brings up a great point. I'm from Philadelphia, so go Eagles. We won. We took them down. I'm sorry.
One of my cultural things, you are referring to the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. That's right.
Which happened recently.
Yes. And
you beat the Chiefs.
That's right. And if you're from Kansas City, you did get blown out. Anyway, not that Philly people talk smack, but
sure.
One of the interesting things that I saw about this, which speaks to your broad paintbrush of the way advocacy and Democrats and Republicans see the world, right? Philly is a blue town and Trump hates it, was something I saw. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't think that's true, because the year that he won in 2016, he carried South Philadelphia, right? And if he won Pennsylvania, he won Pennsylvania again this time, and it's because he did show up in Pennsylvania. It's because he did carry parts of Philadelphia, and like if he were to just take that whole paintbrush and blow off that city, he's talking about blowing off maybe. I mean, I don't know what the population of Philadelphia is right now, but let's say it's 600,000. He's blowing off 100,000 people right there. That's a lot of people to blow off in a big state.